Hey guys, it's good to see you. It's Ryan here with DP Marketing.Services, author on the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors, also the host of Blue Collar CEO, which if you haven't checked it out yet, I would love for your opinion on that show. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. Coming at your video is something I know a lot of you guys are looking for. So look, if you are plumbing, HVAC, electrical, if you're a home services company, you're probably always wanting to know what marketing channel is going to give you the best ROI, right? Which marketing channel, if you had $100 to throw at it, is going to make sure they're going to make the most money possible? And that is a fantastic question. So I'm going to start answering some of this for you. And by the way, the answer might surprise you. So please stick with me as we go through this. I'm going to walk through a couple things. But first, I need a sip of coffee. All right. So if you are serious about growing your business, you know how important it is to have marketing to get you leads so you can run jobs. And obviously you need to make sure that these are jobs you're going to be able to make money. The trick is there's a couple things. One, not every marketing channel is created the same, right? So AdWords and billboards are both types of marketing or advertising, maybe, but they're not going to have the same job. Right, just like a screwdriver and a wrench doesn't have the same job. There are different tools for different functions. But a lot of times it's really easy to go kind of judge things superficially. And the guys who are really smart about understanding which marketing gets the best ROI understands a bigger picture here. So I drew in really crappy diagrams these little symbols on the whiteboard behind me. I'm going to walk through a couple of these things to point them out to you. So the first thing in this process is recognizing that one, if you're plumbing, HVAC, if you're a home service company, ain't nobody in the world waking up today wanting to call you, right? Everyone wakes up thinking they're going to go about their day. They don't. If you're a plumber, they don't really think about calling you till they step in their shower and the water's flipping cold. If they walk down to the basement and it's flooded because the water heater broke, whatever. If you're an HVAC guy, you know this. They don't care about you in the spring. They only care about you when it's July and their air conditioner stopped. So they're calling you because they have a problem. So you can't see probably. Customer has a frowny face. They're kind of pissed off. They're kind of stressed. So it's really important that we know how to target people when they're making those buying decisions, right? Where are they looking? So we want to make sure that we are targeting the right people. If, for instance, if you're trying to focus on these people who are standing in the water in their basement, but you're spending all of your money on billboards, if that's all you're doing, you're going to have a really hard time getting this pissed off customer to turn into a lead for you. It doesn't mean that your billboards aren't working. It just means that's not the job it's playing at that point in time. So step one is we want to make sure that we're getting those people. Step two is then once we know we target those people, we want to get them to a specific call to action. These call to actions, and that's the little phone with the little cord. I don't know. Do you remember those cords? Like we used to have one at home, like the old school phone, and you had the little stringly cord and you would just like pull it as far as you could, be away from your sister. Yeah, so that's what that is. Don't make fun of my drawing. This is going to be driving that specific action. Now, technically, an action could be anything where a customer identifies themselves, right? It could be a coupon download that they're ready to redeem. It could be a phone call. It could be a chat on your website. It could be, if you're doing schedule engine, it could be someone just booking their time directly. But this is a time where you're specifically getting on the board. Now, if you're following me here, the point of this is like ROI, return on investment. At this point, all we're able to track is what we call cost per lead, right? Or cost of acquisition, maybe. So this is going to be so someone did this. The idea is going, just these two. How much money did it cost you to get that person to do that action? Okay, depending on your market and depending on the channel, that number could vary. If you're in a really soft market, it could be pretty cheap. It could be $10, $20. If you're in a really competitive market, it could be a whole hell of a lot more. It could be $50, $100, $200. Obviously, if you are more niche, like if you do geothermal, if you do HVAC for government installs, your cost per lead might be much, much higher, but your average ticket price is going to be much higher too. So this is step one, right? We have to make sure that how much you're paying and then what you're generating is actually worthwhile. This is just a customer identifying themselves, right? So this isn't a customer yet. A dollar hasn't changed hands. Now here is where most people start losing their mind a little bit. Once the phone is answered, we have to make sure we know how to answer the phone correctly. I have personally heard hundreds of phone calls where your customer calls in. Remember, they're pissed off, they're anxious, they're worried, they don't want to talk to you right now. And the person who answers the phone acts like they're annoyed that the customer's calling at all. If you are a human who's pissed off, who's afraid they're going to get ripped off, who doesn't want to have to be on the phone at all, and the person they're talking to acts like they're being annoyed that you're calling them, guys, you lost that customer. If you're working with the marketing agency, if you're doing marketing on your own, you just paid a lot of money to have that phone ring and then someone not know how to answer the phone correctly. This person's only job is to book the call. That's it. Book the call. It's not to tell them all the ways that they're wrong or how all the ways you're better. It's get them on the calendar. You got to get it booked, right? If you don't book the call, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. All right, so the call is booked. You got your tech going out. You know it's on the schedule. Great. Now the tech pulls up to the job. Awesome. So now here is now where everything starts, the rubber hits the road, right? Your customer has seen your ad. They've seen your stuff on Facebook. They've checked you out. They have booked a time. They maybe did some digging on your online reviews before the appointment just to make sure what to expect. But they're anxious. They're a little bit annoyed because they've got to stay home from work, whatever. So now your tech comes up. How your tech answers the door is going to determine how everything else matters at this point. If your tech shows up and your tech misses the appointment window, if your tech is mud all over their shoes, if their uniform looks like trash, if their van looks like they should be stealing kids from neighborhood playgrounds, you're going to have a really hard time building value in anything else you do. This first presentation, it matters. So at this point, everything else has been on the phone or on your website or something, right? Something digital. But now we need to make sure that people actually follow through. So in marketing, we call this the brand promise. What can people expect and know that they're going to get when they call you to come out and fix their problem? So again, if your tech shows up, if they block their car in, if they park on their grass, if whatever else, right? If the first impression is negative, the rest of the call is going to be pretty bad. If your first impression is positive, uniform looks great, the van looks nice and clean and like sparkly clean, the tech parks on the road in view of the front door, like all these things. If the tech presents themselves as professionals, it's a whole lot easier to have every other conversation. And now the tech, the process is all resting on the tech's shoulders. Tech is in the door. The tech is now communicating and completing the experience that they began. And specifically ending with pricing options. Hey, so here's your problem. Here's what we found. We also did an assessment of other things too. So we found this, this, and this. So in your case, this particular option solves it, but this would solve it better and this would solve it longer. Do you want A, B, or C? Good, better, best, whatever, however you label it, doesn't matter. How well can your tech sell? If your tech can't sell, if your tech is afraid of the money, if your tech is like, I don't feel comfortable charging $300 for a garbage disposal, it doesn't matter what marketing you're doing, guys. It doesn't matter. Your ROI will be minimal, right? Because you don't know how to extract the maximum value out of that customer on that visit. So to put this into perspective, marketing ROI, it is a thing. It totally is a thing. But most marketing is really going to only be accountable for this cost per lead, like how much it costs you to get that lead in the door, right? And the higher quality the lead, then maybe the more it costs, the lower quality, the less it might cost. But the point is still the same. Everything else that happens after that, from the phone call to the booking, to the tech pulling up to the house, to the tech knowing how to price yourself correctly, that's all on you. And if you don't know how to answer the phone, if you don't know how to book a call, if you don't know how to do exceptional customer service to provide the pricing options, all of your marketing efforts are going to have a really crappy ROI. And it isn't a matter of like find someone else to pay. It isn't a matter of like try a different thing. Like, hey, let's do this shiny thing. Let's do this shiny thing. They're all going to be equally crappy. Why? Because this part ain't the problem. This part is the problem. And the sooner you can get your head around making sure that all those other things are nailed down, the better off everything will happen. Now, here's the thing that kind of goes in the background behind all this is the idea of like your brand. How trustworthy and how respectable is your company? If your company has a really bad reputation, I mentioned earlier, if you show up in a crappy truck and it's all dirty, yeah, there's no amount of work that you can do to make your company charge a premium for a service when you look like you're like bottom of the barrel. But if you show up, your website looks slick, all the bells and whistles are possible, you're using a FSM like Service Titan or House Call Pro to actually notify customers when you're on their way, your tech looks like they're professionals. When you communicate that you are a premium brand, it's a whole lot easier for you to charge a premium for your customers, therefore increasing your ROI. So the return on the investment, yes, there is a factor where it goes into the cost of acquiring their lead, but the generating and maximizing the income on that lead, phone calls, booking it, tech at the door, tech at the house, communicating your premium product from start to finish. Guys, marketing is not a magic bullet. It will not solve all your problems. You got to make sure you think about everything else in the transaction. And if you want to maximize your ROI, regardless of your marketing efforts, you have to put all the pieces together and make sure you're maximizing the most of every opportunity. I would love to hear from you because I know this is something a lot of you struggle with. So leave a comment. As always, guys, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. Hope you're doing good. And yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts. We'll see you next time.